So, when you hear the name Aaron Burr, what's the first thing that pops into your head? I'm guessing it involves a duel and Alexander Hamilton, right? Burr's the founding father who feels like a character from a political thriller. But what if I told you that his most famous, most dramatic failures weren't his real legacy at all? That long before all that, Burr pulled off something quieter and honestly, way more influential. Let's pull back the curtain on the real story.
So, what was it? It wasn't his wild attempt to build an empire out west. And it definitely wasn't the duel that pretty much torched his political career. Nope. His most significant achievement is something that fundamentally rewired urban politics, and you can still see its DNA in our system today. That's it, right there. Aaron Burr, the guy who ended up a political outsider, actually invented the ultimate insider's game, the modern political machine. We're talking about an engine of influence, of patronage, of pure power. And it wasn't born in some fancy statehouse. It was born in a social club. To really wrap your head around this invention, we have to look past those big, flashy headlines. We've got to see the master strategist who was working behind the scenes. This isn't a story about some grand failure. It's about a quiet, methodical, and kind of brilliant success.
Yeah, we all know this list, right? These are the moments that make for great history books and, blockbuster musicals. But here's the thing. They're also a distraction. While everyone was watching all this drama on center stage, Burr was building something much, much more powerful in the wings. And like so many great American stories, this one basically started with a bunch of guys hanging out. The raw material for Burr's incredible machine was this totally unassuming fraternal club in New York City.
So let's meet the Society of St. Tammany. Get this, it was founded by an upholsterer. And it was just supposed to be a benevolent society for the regular Joes, the everyday soldiers who fought in the Revolution. It was proudly anti-aristocratic, a place where you could celebrate the brand new republic without all the stuffiness.
Okay, now this slide really lays it out. On one side, you've got the Society of the Cincinnati, super elitist, only for officers, and very pro-federalist. And on the other side, you've got Tammany, democratic, open to ordinary vets, and fiercely anti-aristocratic. You can see why Burr looked at this group and thought, aha, perfect. It was a ready-made army of anti-federalist feeling just waiting to be tapped. But here's the key. For all its anti-elitist vibes, the Society of St. Tammany was not a political organization. It was a social club. It had all this fun, patriotic flair with leaders called sachems and meeting in wigwams. But really, it was about as political as a bowling league. And then Aaron Burr walked through the door. See, Burr didn't just join the club. He saw its potential, and he executed this methodical, almost surgical takeover. He knew his party, the Democratic Republicans, needed a disciplined army of voters, and he figured he knew exactly how to build one. And here it is, his 4-step playbook. It's really a masterclass in political engineering. First, he found a group that was big, full of energy, but maybe a little directionless. Second, he got his own guys, his loyal protégés, into the top spots. Third, and this is absolutely crucial, he changed the entire mission. Suddenly, meetings that were about charity were now about making lists of eligible voters. And finally, he brought in patronage, the fuel that makes the machine run. If you were loyal, you got rewarded with jobs and favors. It was simple, it was repeatable, and it was utterly brilliant. So the thing to really grasp here is that Burr wasn't following some old strategy. He was literally making it up as he went. He saw how to turn social connections into raw political power, and he transformed a club of regular guys into this disciplined partisan force. Okay, so he's built the machine, but what can it do? Well, its first big test was about to come during one of the most chaotic and important elections in all of American history. The year is 1800. The presidential election between Thomas Jefferson and John Adams is on a knife's edge, and everything, is coming down to the state of New York. This is where Tammany was about to make its debut on the national stage. Just look at these tactics. This wasn't just, asking people for their vote. This was a full-on logistical operation. Burr's machine turned New York City into a beehive of activity. They were identifying voters, persuading them, getting them registered, and then literally walking them to the polls. It was politics organized with the efficiency of a military unit. And guess what? It worked. Oh, it worked spectacularly. New York's crucial electoral votes went to Jefferson and his running mate, Aaron Burr. Most historians agree, without Tammany's incredible get-out-the-vote operation,
Joan Adams probably would have won. Burr himself became vice president, and the nation got its very first taste of machine politics.
Now, Burr's own political career, as we know, famously imploded after that duel in 1804, but the machine he built, oh, it was just getting started. It would outlive its creator by decades and grow into something he might not have even recognized. This timeline lays it all out perfectly. Burr takes over in the 1790s, proves the machine's power in 1800, and then, even after he's a political ghost, his loyalists keep the engine running. The foundation he built was just too strong, and decade by decade, it grows, it evolves, and it hardens into the creature we now know as Tammany Hall. And man, what a creature it became. This description from the source is just perfect. A lumbering octopus. Its tentacles reached into every single corner of city life, fueled by influence, patronage, and eventually just straight-up graft. That simple goal of getting out the vote had morphed into something way more powerful and way more corrupt. This right here is the key distinction. If the infamous Boss Tweed later built the great Gothic cathedral of corruption that was Tammany Hall, it was Aaron Burr who laid the cornerstone. He drew up the blueprints. He's the one who showed everybody that democracy could be organized, managed, and, well, engineered. And that leaves us with this final kind of provocative thought. Burr's invention lived on long after his own career died, a testament to the idea that while bullets can miss the mark, institutions can last forever. He gave American politics its very first machine, a gift and maybe a curse that showed everyone how to run the republic, just a little bit off the books. A complicated legacy, for sure, for one of America's most complicated founders.